Welcome to Liberal 12th Man Show. I'm Liberal 12th Man, and I'm here with the Irishman and JK. How you doing, Irishman?
What up?
And how you doing, JK?
Word up.
What up?
I like that word up.
Oh, man. What a weekend, huh? What a weekend.
What a week. What a month.
And,
What a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah. Something that I know here on this side of the globe, one of the things we like to say is got a case of the Mondays, and that means like when it's Monday and you're kind of down because you got to go to work, or the weekend's over and everything else, So yeah, but we have a Monday nightclub, which is going to be fun though. We're trying to make it where we're going to just talk about whatever you guys like to talk about or whatever's on your mind. Nothing in particular, no agendas or anything like that. I know that there's a lot of talk out there. We talked about Salah for quite a bit, like the day before, and pretty much I would say the day before this news just came out today. But yesterday, the day after, we had the Salah style of drama, to say the least. And now there's talks about him being re-signed, extended, new contract possibly. Big up for Red for Life. Big up to Redbird too, by the way. Big up to both of you. Hope you guys are well, for sure. How do you guys feel about that? I know Redbird and Red for Life are both Salah, both enjoy or like Salah. Are you cool with the concept of and yourself as well, Irishman and JK? Are you guys cool with this new talk about getting him re-signed? Because I know, Brian, you were more on the lines of just riding out the contract, but are you happy about hearing this?
Sounds like a bit of a PR job to me. It's come out very quickly after all the problems that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
So it seems to me very, very convenient that this has come out now. It's at most, this is I see as him staying. I'd be really, really surprised if there was a new contract on the table for him, anything close to what he was earning. For 3 or 4 years, whatever, at $350 a week, taking him up at least 35, even a 2-year extension, maybe up to. It's a bit of a stretch for me to see us doing that. I just think it's, after all that's happened, Liverpool expect most Salah to stay at Liverpool next season, which really, when you pick it apart, there's nothing in that. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to stay. Yeah, he has no real choice other than to stay.
Yeah,
he's got a contract, but I mean, whether he's happy and wants to stay, that's a whole different story, right?
Yeah, the whole idea of a new contract, I think, seems to be just, it's like like that Simpsons episode where your man, he goes, "Can I just tag a rider on that bill?" And it sinks everything. I think people have added on the new contract bit to the story that was already just out there, which was believable. But then and he might also get a new contract. No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
No.
Red for Life says, love Salah, but think it might be time for him to move on. We haven't seen Mo at his best since before the last AFCON when Senegal beat Egypt. Since then, he hasn't been the same for Red for Life. And Brian agrees with you too, by the way. He thinks that it's all PR. Yeah. AFCON. Is it just that do we just need Salah to win AFCON to get it over with so that he can come back, the regular Salah? It seems like every time he goes to AFCON, he comes back down and just in the dumps and just in this,
Definitely takes a lot out of him, that competition.
Yeah, it does. JK, how are you feeling about it?
As Brian was saying about it's like PR, like the way we sort of let stuff out in the last month and stuff, very unprofessional, and all of a sudden Salah's going to sign a new contract. yeah, it might die down the argument between him and Klopp. So that's like a good thing out of it. But I just don't like the disrespect Salah sort of getting from the fans.
Mhm.
You know, come on, the guy's like when he plays the AFCON, he wants to win it for his country. He
Mhm.
loses, what happens? He's gonna come home a bit miserable, isn't he? He's a
Mhm.
winner, Salah. You can just tell with his energy, the way he handles his body, his mind, the way he plays football. The guy wants to win, you know. So for me, built up frustrations, the reasons behind the Klopp argument. Um, I'm happy if he stays. I'm not a big fan of all these guys saying, "Yeah, sell him, sell him, sell him." He's our top
Mhm.
scorer. You know, he hasn't been fit. That's the only reason why I'm not really saying anything about his form. I just believe he isn't fit.
Okay. Okay. Um, there's a comment right here that kind of sparked my interest by Red for Life as well. He says, if you remember after the AFCON, Mane moved into a more central position and was on fire, while Mo was quiet for the rest of that season, which I do remember. And that was
Because
also
Diaz came in.
the year that Mane won the AFCON as well.
Yeah, Diaz came in while Mane was away. We signed Diaz that January while they were at the AFCON.
Mm-hmm.
And Diaz was playing on the left in Sadio's position. So when he came back, we didn't drop him. We just moved him into the center. Yeah, it worked pretty well there for a while.
Yeah. And that's, and speaking of Diaz as well, um, our front line, what is it about our front line that's just not clicking? What is it that we need to do? Considering, let's I know that JK was speaking on or was talking to me about the sheer fact that Diaz has been playing very well, whether it's on the left side, whether it's on the right side. He's been really one of our few sparks of creativity in our front line. I don't know what it is with Darwin. I don't know what it is. Well, obviously we know what it is with Diego. Diego's not available, but um, when it comes to and Cody's not necessarily that creation style of a forward, But this last matchup, for instance, I'll let JK go a little bit more in depth with it, but you were speaking on how like basically he had created 7 chances and had an assist as well in that West Ham game. Do you think that Diaz, and this is something I heard too, by the way, because when I was listening to the depiction of our new coach coming in, it was breaking down how Diaz was a out of all the forwards in our front line, Diaz was someone slated towards the slot style of play, and how this could be the upcoming year that he's going to be relied on even more heavily to create and produce offense for us in his version of the system that he wants to bring. Do you think that he's capable of it, or do you think that this is like a new sign that maybe Diaz could have some emergence? I mean, last couple of games he has played extremely well and has been like one of the sole like sparks, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that it was a fire, by any means, but at least a spark. How
Mhm.
do you feel about that, JK?
I think the way he's handled the responsibility of all our players being injured, he's realised he's playing every game. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going on with his dad regarding the potential move or whatever's going on there, but the guy on the pitch has actually put a shift in. And Liverpool fans, they love a guy who puts a shift in. If you work hard for the club, for the team, like fans love you. And I think Diaz is one of a few in the past month who's always gave like 100%. He's not even
Mm-hmm.
been my favorite player as well. I've probably
Right.
been really harsh towards him certain ways and stuff, but I just think he can get better. That's the thing with Diaz. He can be a better player if he actually finishes the chances and creates more assists.
Mm-hmm.
Like 7 against West Ham with 1 assist.
7
So
chances is a lot.
yeah,
That's a lot of
that's a
opportunities.
lot. That's a lot of opportunities. I think Harvey Elliott got 8 against Luton for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're creating chances. That's the problem with us this season. We're creating a lot of chances. start just scoring them.
Yeah. Would you to the Irishman, could you see a front line that includes maybe like, let's say Salah were to leave. Could you see a simple fix for us is to utilize Cody on the left wing, utilize Diaz on the right wing, and have a platoon of either Nunez or maybe even Diego in the central forward position? Or
Yeah,
is
that would
that
make
just is that too much? Is that too much?
Well, we've already done it plenty of times, so we know we can do
Right.
it. We know Klopp can do it. We know he doesn't look any worse when he moves to the right. You know, we know his preferred position as much as he can have one is on the left, but he doesn't seem to be any less effective when he goes to the right. He pretty much looks like kind of the same type of player. I think maybe he prefers maybe just for his own shooting to kind of to cut in from that side. Maybe he prefers that for his natural kind of game. But I think he's shown plenty of times that he could do it. He's a worker winger, you know. I think that's his main job really, is that he works really hard. And I think he has shown recently in the last, I suppose, like it's just one of those things. We've had a really terrible month. You know, we've been knocked out of pretty much every competition we were in, all in the space of 1 month. But he's the one guy that has
like the last, like, it was like a quick month of like just getting knocked out of this.
Yeah, out of all our players over that period, he probably has been the most committed and the most probably maybe the most creative. I don't know, just based on what we've seen, he's probably been one of the most creative players. But the idea with a guy like him is that he does a certain amount of numbers at a club like Porto, and I suppose the hope more than the expectation is that when you go to a bigger club like Liverpool and you're surrounded by better players, then those numbers should go up just by virtue of the fact that the chances you're creating them for better players. You're having better chances created for you. You're in a more dominant team, and I think it's just shown that even at the moment, if he is creating chances, we don't have the quality around that's finishing those. You know, so yeah, he stood out in a good way.
That's high praise. That's high praise from the Irishman.
Sneezing there. Sorry. Yeah, but no, he really has. No, like the rest of them around have been pretty. Like it's not a high bar over there. Like, you know, it's which of our attackers has looked the best in April. I mean, it's not a high bar. Yeah, it's a tallest dwarf contest if ever there was one. So
there was
you know, let's give him his props. You know, and like I said, he's a worker winger. He will always, like JK said, I said, like, look, it doesn't matter if you're not playing well, if you're in poor form, that's all understandable. But if you're out there on the pitch, just run and work hard, and people will, you know, not give you a pass, but they'll see that you haven't checked out and you're not coasting, and you still want to try and you care. If your shots come off, they come off. But you know, at least if the whole team isn't playing well, you have to be really trying and showing that you're working hard. And that's never that's never something that's ever been thrown at him, that he wasn't doing that. I mean, from day one, he hasn't stopped running. So
no, he hasn't.
But with regards to the Arne Slot thing, most coaches, I think, will be able to take a player like him and say, yeah, definitely. So he's a great not squad player, but a great player to have in your squad.
In your squad, right?
You know, like totally. Like, there's no way you'd be kicking him out the door unless, you know, it's Barca come along with 80 million quid and he wants to go, and it's okay, cool, whatever. But you know, like Klopp always says, like, look, okay, cool, whatever. If they want, you know, but if you're here,
want to go,
want to be here,
but he's not going to ask them to go, right?
Yeah, you're not going to get down on your hands and knees and beg him to stay. You know, it's that at the same time. So, but like with things like that, if he is going, we always ask for it. We never get it. Sometimes we do. If he is going, get it done the first couple of weeks. You know, if there are people leaving, just get him out early doors.
No, this is
and get your
you're
replacements in.
speaking on Salah or you're
On
speaking
anyone, no, anyone
oh,
that's going.
anyone,
I
just
just mean
anyone. Okay.
anyone that's going, like just with a new manager coming in.
Mhm.
Let's not have anything where, oh, and 5 days before the window closes, Diaz leaves. Or, if he's going or if Salah's going, just get it done the first couple of weeks. So we know who's going to be here and get the money in and that kind of stuff. But none of these window long transfer sagas. Is he staying? Is he not staying? We have a new manager coming in. So like JK was saying with that Barcelona stuff, let's just get that nailed down. What's happening either way. The Salah stuff, get it nailed down.
This statement by Hylor sounds like something I'm pretty optimistic might have some positive returns from it. He's saying he saw that Klopp gave his players 3 days off after the West Ham match. That's the first time since week 7 that the LFC players have had the midweek off. Liverpool have had very little recovery time. I'll tell you even more so, Liverpool players have had very little time to spend with their families, most likely. And I'm hoping that maybe a little time with the family, it could have positive and I want to say
on the
positive.
golf course.
Yeah,
Even just get out for
positive,
around the golf, yeah.
right? Like a good round of golf, or maybe maybe having to hear the screams and the annoyances of some of the kids in the house maybe makes them yearn to get even more so back on the pitch, so
players want to play, dude. Players don't get tired for long. Yeah. You stick him at home and the wife looks at him and go, do a bit of hoovering there, will he? He's like ringing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Gaffer,
all
when
of a
are we
sudden
back in training?
They got the lawnmower out and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a different story. You're not like,
Yeah, they're like, I wouldn't mind going back to training now pretty soon. Exactly. But yeah, no, they do. Look, they are all shattered probably from everything,
Yeah,
mentally, emotionally, physically, and there's not much now left for them to do. There's only pride really to play for.
Mm-hmm. There is
maybe a few quid if you can try and take second place, but even that is looking a little bit beyond this. So it's really just a couple of days off. Do you think it might be?
There's talks about can Arsenal and City just win out? Really? Yeah.
Just as a question, do you think there may be even a case of? Do you think this is just giving him a rest or giving him 3 days off because he's like, we just need, we need to break here. We need a break.
Yeah, I think so.
Like a break from each other.
Yeah, I think they need a break. I think they need a break and
not a rest. No, I don't mean a rest.
Mentally recoup their psyches and everything else from everything, and not be pressured into it's just back to the same old rigorous they've been doing that. They've been doing the same procedure for pretty much the entire year. So maybe it's just good to kind of just have like a break and just kind of hit that mental reset button and be able to come in and just say, hey, you know what? Got 3 games left. Let's put the best that we can out on the pitch, and go out the right way here. As in, what's the harm? Because realistically, he said something in his press conference about how disappointed would you be if you don't give your all, but yet those teams that you're chasing slip up, and if you had just done your work, you could have been in position to achieve more than you possibly thought was possible, So it's a matter of just, maybe all the stress that was coming from, all the different rigors and all, like you said before, sometimes hearing it from the same, hearing it from the horse's mouth too many times, kind of starts to draw flat or draw flat on your return or your actual acknowledgement or the giddy up that you need. It is what it is when it comes to that. Do you think, for instance, for Redbird's question, do you think it's time for Robbo to move on, for instance? Because there's a lot of question of, do we have players that want to win? Not necessarily want to win, I should say that, because I think every player wants to win, technically. But, I mean, do we have players that have that fire still within them and haven't become complacent? This thinking let's just get done this season. I'm already checked out. Do you think it's time for those, because those players can just like, yeah, they can take off for all I care, but do you think it's time for Robbo to move on, for instance, or do you think it's time for some of these players like, I mean, I wouldn't say Dom. I heard someone say Dom as being a choice that they would want to see move on. And I'm just like, he just got here, you know? Like, it's very interesting. But do you think it's time for Robbo to move on, Brian?
I'll let JK go. Or is he on
Okay.
mute?
JK. Go right ahead.
He showed some fire in that second half against West Ham and got the goal. But he was the one who was rallying everyone else. So for me, he's still got something in him, you know. He cost us 7 million. It isn't like we spent a big fortune on him. So I'm happy for him to stay. I think I don't want to see much of a drastic change to the whole squad, you know. We did that to the midfield this summer just went. We changed it completely. So I don't want us to start getting rid of like Van Dijk, Robertson. I think them two sort of guys need to stay at the club. Even Salah for me.
Brian?
Yeah, if you try and change too much too soon, you know, I think there'll be enough almost kind of, what would you call them, non-negotiables. Sort of, there's people that are leaving, like Thiago's leaving, Matip is leaving. That's it. The free transfer boys, they're going. So there's a couple of boys that maybe you might be looking at, but I think it'd be a while before you got to Robbo in terms of, okay, I can, like, he might be looking at Robbo going, I'm going to need a replacement for him that's ready in 2 seasons or is ready next year. I don't think Tsimikas is that guy. So I think Robbo is someone who clearly is at the end of his Liverpool career, but that could be 2 more years, but he's not at the beginning of his Liverpool career. But he's not somebody that I would be in a massive rush to move. Like, we have bigger problems and bigger issues and other players that might want to come in and might want to go. But I can understand the questions. I can understand watching him, his not just impact, but his, what would the word be? His participation this year has been way down. His impact has been way down. He's not, no way, we know it's not the same old system. It's not the same old Robbo. It's not the same old Mo Salah. It's not the same old Liverpool. It's not the same old Jurgen Klopp. So that the days of Robbo and Trent just destroying Europe and the Premier League are kind of starting to be a bit of a distant memory now at this stage. But he's still a top quality performer on his day. He will never stop. He's still fit enough. He's not someone who can't keep up with the game anymore. He's not 39. He's only 29. So I think he's, if he was 2 years younger, you'd be looking at him going, well, if Virgil was to leave, he's the kind of guy that could be the vice captain. If Trent, he's in that kind of, he's in that kind of territory.
He's in that definite,
realm. So he's not someone you're kicking out. He is a long-term planning guy. It's when Robbo is 31, do you want him to be your only left back? You don't. So you're going to be looking to maybe next season, but he's going to be looking. Look, I've got problems here. I've got problems. Not problems, but I've got plans here, changes to make here. I've got 2 solid. I've got a Robbo and a Tsimikas and a Gomez. Let's just box that off there and leave that for a while, and we'll deal with other problems. But I do understand, like I say, I understand why somebody might say, yeah, time to go, because it has a kind of a bit of feeling of the old platoon, Klopp's boys, Virgil van Dijk, Robbo, Salah, Bobby's gone, Mane's gone, so it's kind of the last few of his generation, his boys, and they're all at that kind of 30 age group now, so it's only a matter of time for all of them. But Robbo, no, keep him in there, and just let him be ready when we need him.
Some good questions here. There's Rushdie. Good evening, by the way. Yes. Do you think Klopp should have used the youngsters like Dan's, Clark, etc. a bit longer? They apart from Bradley, they seem to be dropped from the squad as soon as first teamers came back.
Yeah.
Well, there's no other place to put the starters other than to do like to drop their names as well. Like, as in, you're not really like you're not gonna tell, like, I don't know, Trent, or not Trent, but like someone like that, hey, you know what, why don't you go train with the U21s or something, or like, there's no other. At least they have a place to go back to and kind of like continue their progress and continue their learning curves that they'll be making towards getting solidified on the starting squad as being a name that gets put as a senior squad member. But I think we got fortunate that we were able to rely on our youth academy as much as we were. Not many teams, unless you're really like either handicapped by injuries, or if you're, in the case of like Chelsea, where you're not able to go and get new players and get other, get that kind of like refreshments to the squad, then chances are you're going to be utilizing your youth academy players. But I just think that it's fortunate we were able to find these players. It's fortunate that we were in Europa, because that would have probably brought them some European experience. And now that we've found these players, they've got to be ready for possibly getting either a call up or going out on loan, most likely. That's how I see it. And it's not loan as in, hey, we don't think of you as a player for this club. More so just getting them more experience at those higher levels, as opposed to having them within the system.
Yeah, people shouldn't be afraid of that word. It's not a dirty word.
Loan.
Yeah, it's a natural progression. Like, if you buy a player for 60 million quid, and 2 months or 2 years later you're loaning him out to AC Milan, that's a problem. Loaning out a young player to finish his development is like what Rushdie is saying there. And hello to everybody that said hello to all of us coming. I didn't get a chance to say hello back to Nigel and everyone else. But we had an injury. It's been overblown, really. We had an injury crisis. All the young players came up into the team to fill up the spaces, and because we're a well-run football club that has good scouting and good development and good youth coaching, those players were really good, and they came in and did a good job. And like you say, it's natural then, as Klopp had to kind of explain to a reporter for some reason in a press conference about 3 weeks ago. It's like, they will step back down. They know that. They're not expecting to be in the first team. They know they got a massive opportunity. They know that when the guys are coming back, then it'll be thank you for doing everything. It's not a demotion. It's not like you're discarded then or they're ignored. It's a natural way of doing things. It happens all the time. Young players step up to fill in the gaps in the squad. We just happen to need them more, for a shorter period of time. And now they normally go and they finish their development on the path that they should have been on. They were over, you don't want them thrown in. They want to be playing every week, not sitting on the bench every week, because they're not going to play. Clark isn't going to play. Dans isn't going to play. So they go back to where they were and they're getting their development, like they're on a development path, and then they go back and play every week in, week out, not sitting on the bench. And then, like you say, if the time is right, Jaden Dans goes on loan for some 2 year and comes back to us as a more rounded player who's just gone and scored, say, 17 goals for Bristol City chasing promotion in the Championship, or a Stoke City that gets promoted from the Championship, and he's been one of their better players. That's what you want to see. But you don't want him to come up, get promoted, and then sit on the bench and do nothing. So it's great. It's great that they were able to come in. It just shows, to me, don't be kind of worrying about it too much, because it just shows the quality that we have. We've got proper young players now. We don't have a random bunch of kids that can, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just showed me how well run the club is, the quality of player that was able to step in.
Big up to the streets. They've just arrived, by the way. Rasta Crab in the house. Big up the Drunk Vigo. Even hello to Pie Ears. You don't have
Big
to
up,
put
Crab.
that. You don't have to put that you're a fake account. I think everyone knows when they see Pie Ears.
Yeah,
But,
Pie Ears, man.
Yeah. But hello.
They are the
welcome.
giveaway. Those ears are kind of a giveaway, you know.
Yes, they are. They certainly are.
What are the streets saying,
yeah,
Crab? Tell us, Crab. What are the streets saying? What are they
yeah.
saying, man? Because we need to know.
What are
We
the
need to
what's the
know.
word
It's
on the
been a
street?
long
What's the
weekend.
words on the
It's been
street?
a long weekend. It's been a tired weekend. Yeah. What we do to quad,
Tyler
yeah.
said, Tyler says, without Kwanzaa, Bradley, Dans, Clark, Kumas, etc., we would have been dead in the water for sure this season. No way would we have had a title or getting a top 4 position. I agree that they've made some very big contributions. I don't know if we would have not been in top 4, because I think that the other teams that are competing for top 4 are certainly viable teams. I just think that we would have been in competition with them for top 4 as opposed to 4. I wouldn't have even put that they helped us solidify top 4. I think more so they helped us even slightly contend in the idea of competing for a title this year. Without their contributions, we wouldn't have been able to compete for a title. I'll give them that. I think that's a little bit of a higher praise than saying they helped us solidify top 4.
But also, sorry, Jay, I'll let you go just before I forget. Like, also, so what you're saying is if we hadn't had them, then what you're saying is if we'd had a bunch of useless kids, right? What I'm saying is, yeah, but if the players that they came in to replace hadn't been injured, then we probably would have been on an even better chance of doing well.
Yeah.
You know, they came in, okay, but they're good. But you're saying that we wouldn't have, that's like saying, okay, yeah, if we had like I'm saying, if we were a terribly run club with no good youngsters and a load of rejects and, you know, half fit old guys in our reserves that couldn't do a job, yeah, we would have been in trouble. But no, we just have a good, but like we've been much better, much better position if those guys hadn't had to play. And thingy with Thiago was fit all season, Basetic was fit, Yada was fit, everyone that got injured was fit, you know, a much, you know, for a shorter period of time or whatever. But I think we would have been far better off then. You know, does that make sense? I don't know. Is it a kind of a circular argument in terms? Yeah, one just, you know, keeps going around and around. But
no, I get what you're saying.
Hey,
I agree.
Hey, Darrell.
I agree. No, I mean, like, I agree. Like, as in, you know, if we weren't, I thought that we wouldn't be hit with this injury. I mean, like, you're gonna have injuries regardless. Every year you're gonna have injuries, but I didn't think we were gonna get hit with this injury bug as to the extent, if not worse, this year than last year. We might have had a worse year of injuries, and yet we got rid of the players that were primarily being the injured players. We got rid of Ox. We got rid of Nabi.
Yeah, okay.
We got rid of Hendo. We got rid of Fab. You know, we even let go of Bobby. Those are the players that were like, you know, on again, off again, available for us, and weren't really providing us the established, you know, hours needed on the pitch, you know, in a sense of putting, I mean, like hours work. That's what I mean. And we replaced them with younger talent. We replaced them with more viable talent to be relied on. And it's still this year, you know, you still saw Dom, you know, dropping off, or you saw bouts with Macca. I mean, Macca's were a little bit different, but I mean, like, more so, I'm not really worried about when a player gets an injury because of a impact. That's a different story than the actual player getting a non-impact injury to me as well. I'd love to see how many non-impact injuries we've had this year and how much of time it's cost us through that. That's a little bit different story. I'd like to see. I don't have the number in front of me, but I'll be sure to research it once by tomorrow for sure. You can best believe on that. But that's just my take, and I understand what you're saying.
Make sure you tune in for that.
Yeah, exciting. Oh man. I
For
know
me, I like
Vigo trying to bring up. We know you didn't say that, Redbird. We know you didn't say Cell Salah. We got you.
just a
Go ahead,
quick
JK.
question. Out of the youth players, who do you reckon can make it out of them? Because like for me, there's two guys who possibly could is Kwanzaa and Bradley. But for me, Bobby Clark, man, I think Bobby Clark he's a good little player. He is. I'm waiting
I
to see
think,
what he can do in the
Patrick's not
future.
necessarily seen as a youth player, but he's still at that age where he would be considered a youth player. Bishatik's,
Who,
Bobby
I
Harvey?
Clark.
mean,
Oh,
huh?
okay.
Who, Clark or Bisage?
No, I'm saying Bishatik, yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh. I was
He
just be
could,
happy to see that guy. He was on the subs bench the other day against West Ham.
yeah. I'm saying,
So
yeah. I think
yeah,
Clark's a talented player. You're just asking me who I thought was like out of our youth players, or I would say, I know he's not technically a youth player, but I mean like as in he's in that youth
yeah.
age range. I think Bishatik's definitely someone. I think though, I think Dan's has a lot of talent. By the way, I think Dan's has a future.
can we?
At
Whether he
Liverpool?
gets the opportunity, that's a different question. But that's a player that I do like because he's got a real true striker mentality. I think.
Oh, he's a born striker. Yeah.
Yeah. Big up to Daryl, by the way. Big up Daryl. Good to see you, brother.
Yes, Carol.
We could, if you wanted, quickly do Jota, right? Let's just say quickly do Jota, right? This is starting in 2015, right, up to 23, 24. So this is how many days he's missed. 14 days, 18 days, 71 days. So this is per season. This is each season. It's 14, 18, 71, 49, 95, 14, 147, 79 days. Right, in each, so he's missed 19 games, 29 games, 4 games, 23 games, 12 games, 14 games, 4 games, 2 games. I did that in the reverse order, right? So just for us, he's had a knee bruise 84 days, a foot injury 11 days, an ankle injury 14 days, a hamstring injury 31 days, a calf injury 116 days, a muscle injury 28 days, and a knee collateral ligament tear 51 days, and that's the most recent one. So he has had problems over his entire career. He's always had, he had 3 injuries, 71 days, but all of those 147, that was 2 injuries. 95 days, that was 2 injuries. So he's getting bad, like he was out for 81 days with a knee bruise. That's all it was out.
He's becoming more vulnerable to these.
Well, for us alone, just for us alone, in the last 3 seasons, right? 51 days this season, 28 days last season, 116 days the season before that, 31 days the season before that. So he's so again, like, this is not a thing on Jota. This is obviously a guy who isn't always that lucky, isn't always, was that reliable. But then you add in the Premier League to it, which hardest league in the world to play in physically. Then you add in Jurgen Klopp, a hard manager to work for physically.
Right.
Like I always said it, like Fabinho is whatever. Every year they spend under Klopp, you add 6 months, right? So if you do 4 years under Klopp, you might be 30, but you're 32. Gotcha. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Because the miles he puts on these boys and the intensity that they do with that, which is why he's tried to calm it down, and chill it out a bit. So look, I'm not here to say this is what the reason for that is. I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that it's because of Klopp. Without a doubt, they'll tell you it's because he trains them too hard or whatever. But it's not easy to keep players fit. But you've got to, especially not in England.
It's not. And I know, like, I got into a back and forth with K-Mac about the number of games that these players are playing nowadays, and like as in the amount of attention that is put on a lot of these sometimes unnecessary games, but yeah, that's definitely concerning about that, about the rigors that is being put on not only Diego but a lot of these players. I was going to ask you a quick question too, though, because I know that you mentioned Bobby Clark. I know I saw Rasta Crab said he loves Bobby Clark in the chat. I know some other people said that they're high, that Clark is another name on that list that they're very high on. What about Bobby Clark what about Bobby Clark, one, makes you say that? And two, where does Bobby Clark fit into this team? Because this midfield's pretty packed, to be honest. Healthy, let's say, and this is to the chat too, 100% healthy midfield, let's say. 100% healthy midfield. Where does Bobby Clark fit into that midfield then? Like, is he your box-to-box midfielder, or is he like is he your 8 for this reason or that like, as in where does he, what kind of, like, where does he fit in this in a system, or what kind of player do you think he would be best suited as in a system? JK, do you have an answer for that? Or even the chat, if you guys have an idea of where Bobby Clark would fit.
What I like about the guy is his feistiness. He's very on it, He isn't like a lazy sort of football player. He's like on it, and he's little, but he's a bit of a rebel in there, Look, the future, we don't know what's going to happen with the team. So he could, if he carries on playing well physically and mentally, gets prepared for like the next guy, he could be a midfielder for Liverpool in the future. Like, that's how much I rate him. I think he's a very good player. Hopefully he can make it with us.
Okay. The Irishman?
Bobby Clark in a fully fit team, where does he fit? You'd be looking at really round robin. You're talking about number 7, maybe off the rank. If we're doing a 3, he's someone that would hope right. Okay, easy way to do this. I'm Bobby Clark. What am I thinking? Right. Okay, I'm Bobby Clark. Right. I'm thinking I want to be in contention for starts in the cups. I want to make myself available to maybe get a start in a cup game, or at worst, get on the bench and take it from there. Right. And get in. But it's not going to be. I'm not thinking, I should be in the first team. I should be starting. I'm looking at going, can I break into that squad? When I break into that squad, where am I going to get my chances? I'll get him against, Rochdale in the FA Cup, or, against Ludogorets when we're already qualified in the Champions League or something like that. That's where you've got to get in. And then what role? Play in a kind of a McAllister maybe type role, Gravenberch's type role, that attacking midfield, kind of great long pass on Bobby Clark though. He's a great long ball on him. It's so he definitely has maybe a deeper role, but it's not someone I've seen enough of to know that. To me, I think maybe further back. Definitely a midfielder, but not in the 10, more in the kind of a creative 6 than a 10. I really don't know it, but I've just seen him play.
That's a good question, though. Like,
I've seen him.
He's got to find his identity.
No, I'm just saying I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about him. He'd probably tell, "Oh no, I want to drop. My game is dropping deep," or I just don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen enough of him. So whatever, from looking at him, I'd imagine that it's just the way he can pass the ball. I like to look him deeper. Well, Mac Crab is saying see, like I said, I just haven't watched him.
He says Bobby's an attacking 8, kinda. He says he's like a Mac 10 type.
Yeah. See,
I don't see because Mac 10 has definitely developed his defensive prowess. I mean, like in the beginning of the year, he was not really as on point defensively, and because he doesn't have the speed as well, like sometimes it's getting beat that way. You can see that he was lacking in sometimes the recovery, but he's definitely pressed up his defensive numbers as of late. his ability to take on duels, ground duels, even aerial duels on occasion. He's actually his numbers have all gotten better.
That's what I said. Yeah.
But is
just
Bobby
saying
that player?
yeah.
Is Bobby Clark that player too? Though I mean, like, I'm not. I like Bobby Clark's upside. I like the fact that there's a player there. I like the fact that he's not like kind of doing like the shrinking daisy concept where like he's not able to meet the thing. But
if you saw his dad play football, man, you'll know he'll have the minerals.
Yeah,
he will have them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, Robert. I see there's something going on about flat earthers or something like that in the chat there. No worries, Redbird. I know you're not. I know like you're not. It's all fun banter until someone sometimes some people take offense to it. So it's all good.
Yeah, you're a mod, Redbird. You're a mod. Don't worry about it.
You're a mod. I know.
You
don't have to apologize to me. Yeah. System would cook. Well, Daryl, I know that you are a cook, so I'm trying to figure out what system you're talking about. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Daryl's saying this about his system. Slot plays 2 number 10s. I'm playing McAllister and Salah as 10s and Dom and a new boy on the wings. Okay, interesting. I think if you're going to do that, I mean, like, yeah, that's interesting. Is it? I know this is a transition from what we're just talking about, Bobby Clark, but like, is it like a possibility? And this is something I suggested before, by the way. Is there a possibility that we move Bobby to if we're going to have a coach that possibly does play more with a 4-2-3-1 concept? Is it a possibility that we move Mo Salah to a 10 role on this team?
Who wants to take that? JK? You want to take that one?
Yeah, I know. There's that grenade there. There's that grenade.
No, for me, Salah don't run as a winger. Like yesterday when I seen him, yesterday against West Ham on Saturday when we had that break, he had some speed in him. He was fast, but he's not a winger no more. So for me, he could play a 10 position, same as Elliott and same as McAllister, them 3, I think Salah's sort of going to be wasted on the wings. I think his future is sort of more in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, like, and he doesn't. I mean, he has ability to pass. He has the ability to, find players. I think he definitely has more of a forward concept in him, in the sense of he wants to score more so than assist.
Yeah,
but he does assist. But he does have the ability to find and create. Go ahead, Irishman.
Yeah. No, he's not a 10 for me. He's not a 10. He couldn't. You see, we're all what we're imagining is a perfect world where Mo Salah is allowed to do what he wants to do on the ball in a number, and we're imagining how he could, passes he could play and all of that. If he played in a number 10 position, he'd be marked out of the game. He wouldn't have no time on the ball. He'd be, it's a completely different role. It's in the middle of the pitch. He has no room to move into. It's not that he can't do things with time on the ball, but playing in that part of the pitch, it's not something he's ever done in his life. He's not probably going to learn at the age of 32. So for me, it's just not something that he would be. You're not allowed any time on the ball to just turn and do things. So I'd push him in. Dara, I'm not saying he isn't finished as a winger. What I'm saying is, for me, he's not a number 10. And football is all about opinions. It's just with what I don't see, man. If someone else can see something I can't, I'm more than willing to be proved wrong. I'm happy, But just to me, I can see, like, what we're thinking is here, what he could do in a game of 5-a-side. Not in a game of Premier League football when you got someone like Rodri that's giving him a half a second on the ball. That's not his game.
Rasta Crab did.
But I just mean Pete and Central. get him central. Though, you see, that's when I was getting to that there.
Yeah.
I would happily bring him centrally, but just as more as a striker, just as an out and out goal scorer.
So you're trying to play him as a like a what?
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'll go.
Or you're trying to play him as like a 9.
No, I'm asking. Also? I'm answering the questions I was. I'm not doing anything with him, but I'm
no,
asking.
I'm just asking. I'm just. Well, I'm just trying to understand the process.
Okay.
If you move him centrally,
I'll get there. If you let me explain. Yeah, I will. No, I'll get there. So what I'm saying is, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't put him in a number 10, but I would be happy to move him centrally, and moving him centrally as a whatever you want to call it, number 9 or a striker. That's how I would see it if he makes a kind of a 2 up front type system. But is it in response to could he play as number 10? That'd be a hard no for me. But I agree then, because people were saying in the chat he's done wide, and I agree that I maybe moving him in because he does have the goal scorer's instinct. So in some system like that, that would make more sense to me. Or else, I don't know, maybe still as a wide forward. I just only see him as a wide forward, or maybe moving into the middle, but as he gets older. But again, I don't even see that too much. So I don't know what to do with him, really. I'm not sure.
I'd play him in the middle as well. Yeah, somewhere in the middle, not on the wings. I think.
Yeah. We need pace on the wings, and unfortunately, Salah hasn't been able to maintain that kind of level with the pace, ability to take on, with his dribbling skills, to take on defenders from that wing position. That's where, and then I agree with you. I wouldn't mind seeing him move more centrally. I know some people have different opinions on whether he would be good at 10 or would he be better as more of a striker or more centrally located forward, maybe like it's just a right forward or something like that. But yeah, this is a very interesting question. There is something else that I wanted to bring up too now, because speaking of trying to get players into this team, then as in if we were to move him more centrally, we would most likely need a right wing, or or if we had to move Diaz to right wing, we would possibly even need a left wing, or whichever the case, we might need some other components. There's been this talk now about, this is what Hyler brings up too, and this is a subject I know Brian wanted to discuss as well. The Prem has agreed a spending cap limited to 5 times the TV earnings.
No, they haven't.
Of the bottom club. I wonder why Man City, Man United, and Aston Villa all voted against, while Chelsea abstained.
No, just they've agreed to look at it. They haven't agreed. It's not signed off and finished. This is exploratory. It's not like it's been brought in and stops. No, they haven't. But there's no new rule. They've agreed to look at the possibility of doing it. So it's close, but basically everyone voted it. Yeah, we would do that, but they haven't brought it in. Don't jump the gun on that, Hyler. It's not fully signed up or anything like that. But yeah, they've come out and they've said it, that the 3 guys that the vote was in, and the 3 guys that voted against it were, as said. But it's not. I'm going to find the exact wording of it. Okay. A majority of Premier League clubs have voted to explore measures that would put a spending cap on player spending and all that stuff. Plans for a new anchoring concept that would limit spending on wages, fees, and agents' fees to a multiple of TV revenue generated by the league's bottom club were at the centre of the latest meeting of shareholders. If approved, it will become but the deal is not guaranteed to be done. So it's not done. 16 clubs voted in favour, and there are 3 no votes. Chelsea abstained. So they passed a motion to look at this, basically. So it's
Mhm.
you've got a load of clubs that are saying, yeah, we would be up, we would back that, but it's to explore measures. So that's let's just wait and see on that one. But the story there, I think, was that not the guys that voted against it, but that all of the other clubs are fully in agreement with it. Which I'm interested to see how this would run concurrent with FF or PSR and
Mhm.
UEFA FFP.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be that's gonna be very, very interesting how they try to construct that. I know that I'm sure people are gonna like blame it on the Americans again or something about trying to bring the salary cap to basically like the salary cap to the Premier League. But
Well, it's more of a
I'm just
spending cap and
right,
everything, and the salary wages are part of it. So it'll be like wages
right,
and transfer fees, basically. But yeah, so it's a salary cap by stealth.
right.
But
Yeah,
because they can't just call it an outlet salary cap, because as we talked about before, that won't fly
yeah,
just on its own.
yeah.
So this will be
It's
this is
it's a
very
very
similar to
good.
what they do in
If you
Spain.
want some type of parity though, that's the best way to try to. That's one of the best ways to at least
Yeah.
attempt to have some parity. Whereas in the league, in the sense of like, if everyone's able to spend the same amount, then that's just it. You make the most, and it's about managing your books the proper way. But yeah,
I don't know, JK. Can you see it going through? Can you see him? Because like they
Uh,
basically only 3 said no, 16 said yes, and one. So it's the 20 clubs in the Premier League basically. So everyone voted apart from City, United, and Aston Villa, and Chelsea abstained from voting.
mhm. Dodgy.
There's
Yeah, yeah.
there's obvious support there but what do you think? Do you think it has a shout? Do you think there's a chance? Or
Well, is it going to be 4 times? What are the actual facts about the whole thing? That
it's like a
they said they want to.
multiple, yeah, a multiple of whatever the lowest club earns, and that would be in terms of guaranteed revenue, say, so revenue from TV and all that. So say 5 times. So if the smallest club in England earns a lot, by the way, so don't forget that. So
yeah.
say it's five times 60 million, that'd be 300 million. So the most you can spend is 300 million.
But
And that's the most that anyone can spend.
wage bill though, right?
Wages, yeah. So
Yeah.
all spending, so all football spending, wages,
Right.
agents fees is a major part of it. So
Yeah. And
if
does that
you give
include backroom staff too, or just player fees? Meaning like your coaches and everything else.
staff wages, I'd imagine so, yeah, because it'd stop you just paying Guardiola 50 million a year.
Seriously.
Make sure I'd imagine it's all football spending, yeah. I would imagine so. It would be wages for staff players. The agents' fees now is what they're going to try and cut out, because that doesn't do anyone. Like that's what that's targeting. Because when you think about it, the money they would be happy to spend is on players,
Right.
players' wages, right, to get the players, the staff wages, but they won't be happy to take 20 million out of their 300 million. Let's just say, for the sake of whatever, it's 300 million. And give 30 million of that to, not, well, look, that's a big number, but say 10 million of that to a George Mendes to get him a big player. They're going to be they're going to be really looking at that 10 million going, do we really want to give that to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, because these guys are getting, these agents, man, I know they do good work for their players, and a lot of players really big up their agents and like what they do for them. And
I hope so. My players like me. So
well, yeah, it's like it's, but some of these boys, they get kind of just seen as these evil guys that just take a cut of transfers.
yeah.
There is a bit more to it than that, but they do get paid far too much. Like the Raiola getting 30 million quid because Pogba moved, and all these crazy numbers. Like
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to get rid of out of the game. Is these boys, they deserve to make their wage and all that, but they were pushing up this ridiculous spending here. So anything that can curb it and bring it back down to earth, really, because no footballer is worth £200 million, no matter how good he is. It's just stupid. Like he could
I mean,
£200
yeah, I get what you're saying.
million.
I get what you're saying. There's some of the prices, but it's weird because like also some of these prices that we're discussing and talking about, it's one thing that we're talking about them in the Prem, but it's like another thing about the fact that if it was just the Prem, it'd be one thing. But you have to deal with the Bundesliga. You have to deal with the wages and prices that are going on in the Spanish league and in Italian league. And why I'm bringing that up is because some of the wages and salaries that some of these players are on in other leagues, is a big reason why they are staying put in the leagues they're in, and especially if they're competitive leagues like obviously like the Spanish league or the Bundesliga, they'll stay put in those leagues. And also some of these guys, it's, I know everyone has to have a release clause in the Spanish league, but some of these even release clauses. I mean, there's like, what is Gavi's release? Isn't Gavi's release clause something like $1 billion or something like that, or something stupid like that, where it's just like you might as well not even like no one's ever going to pay over, no one's going to pay 500 million or 700 million for some of these players that some of these release clauses are at. So it's just overwhelming how like they have to get some type of control of some type of control over this, because like a lot of these
what I'm saying about 200 million, what I'm saying is no, he's a footballer. He's not worth 200 million pounds. Like you could give 200 million pounds to a freaking food bank and feed people for 10 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like there has to be a kind of at some point the money just becomes obscene, so let them earn what they want. But if you were to put a cap on 60 million was the maximum transfer, then the best player in the world is worth 60 million and everyone else's price goes down. Watch it happen, because it's all just made up money.
Mm-hmm.
If it like why is like Coutinho worth 140 million pounds?
Mm-hmm.
You could build 1,000 schools for that. It's just stupid the way money is cut. So like no footballer himself, like especially when like and Neymar goes out and look, he's on what, 2 million a week over in Saudi, and then he goes and does his ACL and he's out for a year.
Yeah, very true.
It's like, come on, come on. That's So if they were, to me, like 50 million quid, that's probably the maximum you should be paying for just for footballers. Like,
for a footballer, I know.
Yeah,
but I mean,
if
like
that's the most one is worth,
that's usually right around the sweet spot when it comes to the signatures that we procure. Like as in, 40, 50, maybe even 60 million, somewhere in that range is like usually what we tend to try to spend. I get it. It can be a little bit like 63, 64, something like that. But I mean, like when it comes to a lot of those expenditures, usually that's what it is. I have to circle back, I guess, apparently, because the chat is still.
The chat is going off in a completely. The chat is doing its own thing there, man.
I know. I see that, man. I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it. We already spoke about Diaz earlier in the show, but I'll bring it back up. Look, we were doing more so the praise of his play as of late and everything, but people are still very much like saying Diaz isn't it and Diaz needs to be sold. They're talking about VVD. There's people are talking about how they think the VVD is going to be on his way out. I get why and how people are saying what they're. I mean, everyone's welcome to their opinions, myself included, as well as the panel, obviously, and everyone in the chat. But there's just some dynamics about the market that I have to emphasize, and that is like, I know people don't necessarily rate some of these players as high as we were just speaking. For instance, we were just talking about. Brian was just saying how 50 million is right around the sweet spot for what he would like to spend on a player. That's probably around the threshold of what kind of caliber players we should be getting to is like a 50 to 60 million type player. But the market kind of dictates other things by the sheer fact that it's essential for a lot of these teams to get in Champions League to make it. In having these high profile names, but also trying to offset some of the expenses that come with having these high-profile names. So I know that Diaz isn't a world phenomenon like type name or anything like that, but it's so often that I would speak about how you can't tell me a left winger that gives the kind of production or the kind of product return at 55,000 a week in the Premier League. I can't think of any left winger that is playing on a team that makes that kind of salary, that produces that kind of production. And to think that we're going to bring in someone better than Diaz, which is possible. I'm not saying there's no players that are better at left wing than Diaz, not at all. But then we're back to that whole wage bill thing of trying to figure out, okay, well, you think Salah makes 350. Imagine having a 350,000 a week player in Salah on your right, and then we'd have to have a 350,000 a week player on your left. That sounds phenomenal. But do we realistically think that's going to happen? Because then you're going to have to figure out how to get Virgil his money. And then you have to figure out how to get Trent his money, because they're going to get close to the 200, if not more, thousand in salaries, in actual wage budgets.
I get. Look, I get what you're saying completely, but just from playing devil's advocate on it, there's no fan is sitting there in the stadium, and not saying he's had a bad game, but if he has a bad game, saying, "Oh well, look, he's only on 55 grand a week. What do you expect?" I think that's important. No, I don't. I know you think it's important. I know you think it's important. I know you think it's important, but it's not. It's like the fans are kind of thinking of it like, oh well, he's only on 55 grand a week. They don't. They just look, is he any good or not? Let's talk about that afterwards. And they just, because like you said, look, we can. He's not someone we need to get rid of tomorrow.
No,
but he's someone you can.
3 more years left. He's up to
someone you can improve on. He's someone you could improve on. There's always, unless you're talking about there's always a better player you can get. And that's what clubs should always be looking at if they can do it. It's like, look, didn't think they were going to sell that guy, and boom, well, Jesus, the guy they brought in was even better. Wow, look, typical Man United or something like that.
Yeah.
So you've always got to have your one eye on the ball, but he's not someone that needs to go. But you're correct in saying that if fans want someone else to come in, they're going to be big money. But I think most fans will know that. They'll know that, okay, if we want to bring in X, Y, or Z, he's going to cost a lot of money.
He's going to cost a lot of money.
But they'll know that. They'll know, they'll realize that. So, but they'll also be looking.
But I mean, like, you remember the response, Brian, you remember the response that, on one of our brother shows, you remember this response that they had once they obviously don't watch our shows as routinely as we watch theirs, but all the same, some do though, some do. But we brought up this topic quite a bit because I know that you have an opinion on Diaz, my opinion on Diaz, and I know JK has an opinion on Diaz, and we talk about it at length sometimes. But I mean, like, the sheer bewilderment that they went through when they found out how much he's actually on and then they didn't even go into how long he's actually signed for. So that means he signed that deal. He didn't just sign that deal. I mean, he signed it like a year ago or something like that, or 2 years ago. So, that's like someone said to you, hey, I'm going to give you a 5-year deal and put you on $55K a week. That's an exceptional bit of business in my mind. And that's sometimes, I guess maybe that's the football manager in me, because I actually enjoy playing Football Manager more than I enjoy playing FIFA, for instance, nowadays. And that's because I like to get into the contracts. I like to get into the, into the breaking down of the wage bills and how we're going to fit this player and how we're going to be able to bring this youth player into the squad and properly phase out the players as they go in and into the squad, which is difficult. How to get the maximum return for these players that we're talking about trying to move on from. It's not an easy tango. That's
Football Manager is the only game. I've never played any of those FIFA games in my entire. I've never bought FIFA, any of those controller football games in my life.
Mhm.
Never played them. I hate playing football games, but I played Football Manager since 2001, 2002. Greatest game
Oh
of all
wow.
time. It's greatest game.
Wow.
Football. I played it when it was Championship Manager.
Oh
Started off
wow.
as Championship Manager,
Yeah, yeah.
then to turn to Football Manager. It's the
Mhm.
greatest game of all time. It really is. It's very, very complicated these days. Back in the day, it used to be obviously a lot more simple, but the database has always been there. It was always one of the best ways to learn about players
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
was a real database. They don't make
Yep.
up until
Yeah,
you
they
get the
use actual
regions.
scouting returns, yeah, results and
Yeah,
stuff.
and eventually the clubs across the world started hiring the football manager researchers because they realized that they were
That's
they
crazy,
realized that
right?
they were actually
That's pretty crazy.
scouts.
Yeah.
But they realized they realized that they weren't just making stuff up for a computer game. There was actual people on the ground in
Mhm.
Indonesia and in South Africa and in fucking Guinea, and they were actual real people feeding real
Yeah,
information in. And they
yeah.
were like, "Hang on, there's actual. Well, we can just use them as a resource." So
Mhm.
it's Football Manager is foundational to a lot of what's going on with people talking about data these days and stuff. The amount of like I told that story about Burton Diaz being called up for Chile because a guy that played Football Manager found out that he was Chilean and asked Football
Mhm.
Manager to put him in the game as Chilean. And it was only when they looked at it and they thought, is that true? Are you actually eligible? And they called him up because of it. You know, that game has never stopped. Never stopped. Everyone should play that. If you're anyway interested in football, just download it and give it a go. Even some of the older ones, just have a go at it because just the amount of info in it, you get
Yeah,
lost in it.
it's a
Uh,
much different experience, I'll admit that, than it is for like FIFA when it comes
well, I
to like
think
you trying to
FIFA
manage.
tried to they tried to introduce that, didn't they? FIFA have that kind of thing now where you can do that, like be the
You
manager
can
and
be
stuff,
you can be the
don't they?
manager, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they tried to do that. Big
yeah.
up Revan.
But it's not as intense as in
No,
it's not like you have like this whole breakdown of contracts and like and all, you just it's like very very basic. There's like a couple like 3 4 or 5 different things you have to work out like years and like but you don't have to break down all of the bonuses that you might want or all of the team bonuses that you might have to get like as an appearances and such those kinds of things. Football Manager, you do have to go through all that stuff, but I just think that like realistically, um, I get that people might want to move on from Diaz. I'm not saying that he's the end all be all at left wing. I'm not saying that he's the best left wing in the world. I'm not saying that at all. But I definitely think that for what we spend, and that's why I keep emphasizing about what it is that we spend. If you look at it from a ownership perspective, if not even a managerial perspective, but more so ownership perspective, they're trying to keep some balance on those books. Like as in, we're not trying to find Liverpool being in a position like a Barca, where you have your wage books, your wages are so excessively high that you're asking players to take take their salary on deferment type things, like that's pretty nuts. And that's
well,
what you get.
we're losing some, or we're taking some money off the bill this year, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thiago Matip,
Yep.
that's a good 300K into it.
Right. And that's the way that you balance it out. Like that's how I like in the beginning of the year. I'll allow you to finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking that, isn't it? There is no one else.
Oh, okay.
They're on around 300K. So that's a
No,
nice chunk of wages that's
that's
suddenly
how
freed up.
that's how I did it. Like as in the beginning of the year when we were trying to find players or we're talking about transfers and talking about bringing in players, the easiest big up. Travel safe, Cedric. Travel safe.
Take care, Cedric.
The biggest way or the easiest way for me to like kind of conceptualize it for people was I was saying, okay, well, we got to look at how when we're looking at these transfers, I was like, okay, I want to get this is back when Vardiol was still available, and I was even trying to get I think Casado as possibly as the 2 targets that we're trying to get, and it was more so like, okay, well then you got to figure out what the money is going out. figure out what you can get, obviously, for the transfers out, which is great. But then you also got to look at what they're making on the books as well. And that's something that you can figure out and say, well, okay, I forget what Hendo was making on top of my head, but I know he's making close to, I think 150, 160, I think he's making around.
Yeah, around 160. Yeah.
Yeah, around there. So then if you look at it that way, I was looking at, okay, well, if Hendo leaves, that means that you not only have possibly 50 million, let's say he'd want for 50 million. Just make a round number, easy. If he goes for 50 million, cool. That also means that his 160 is coming off the books. But it also allows for you now to say, whatever player you bring in, you now have a high threshold of saying you can go up to 160K and not have the wage budget balloon even more, you know? And that's a positive thing. So
yeah, no, I think most people get that at this stage. I think most people know that you've got your wage budget and you've got to move. You've got to, they do. I wouldn't. I know some people don't seem to, but most people definitely. I would give them, the benefit of the doubt on that one. They know you've got to shift it. Some people, I think they pretend that they don't, but I think anybody at this stage that they don't realize that there's a line, there's a limit. You can spend a certain amount of money, and after that, you can't spend any more until you bring some in.
Exactly. Especially now.
But there's a reason Everton and Forest got done for these things, because they produced their numbers and they knew they were going to be on the books and they knew they were going to get the fines.
Yeah.
And we know, like, we're like Newcastle couldn't buy in January. Like Helior pointed it out there a while ago. The spend in January, like normally the Premier League spends a huge amount of money even in January.
Oh,
nobody
Nobody
spent anything in January.
Yeah,
nobody.
This January.
Newcastle have the world's richest owners.
Mm-hmm.
They could have bought anybody they wanted. Why didn't they? Because of FFP.
Yeah.
They, like, everyone's like, these they probably had to sell Bruno. But sorry, no, they were saying they had to probably sell Bruno.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make a move.
Yeah.
Like Tony Montana said, go out on the street and make a couple of moves, and mill here and mill there. That's the line. You got to make moves.
Let's talk to Rasta Crab about that. He knows the streets.
You got to go out and make a couple of moves. They couldn't just go out and they got to buy and sell. Even Newcastle,
right,
with their unlimited money. So,
but that's also too, JK too. One of the thing about that, what you're just saying about Newcastle, for instance, with people are talking about City about how, like, City utilized. If City did it, why can't Newcastle do it? Well, one, City did it when they can get away with it, apparently, or possibly not. Who knows? We're still waiting for that determination. But now, though, they've established themselves to an extent that they are fitting under the rules of currently are meeting the rules that are necessary for them to have the transfers and wage budgets that they have. And that's what's kind of scary about it, is that, like, that cart's already gone. Like, guys, if they don't basically take them to task for what they've done in the past, then City is always going to be a juggernaut going forward. Newcastle, a little different story. Newcastle is going to have an interesting run at trying to secure the concepts that City have had in their established campaigns. But JK, you're with us, right? Okay, make sure.
Yeah. This whole FFP topic is sort of saved the owners a bit of money in the January window. If we couldn't going to buy anyone, we were definitely not buying anyone after that news came out. So I think we needed a DM then. It would have been a perfect buy, even if we got Paulinia in then. But for some reason, we decided not to buy no one. And they just sort of jumped on the we're not buying no one bandwagon this January window, what most clubs did anyway. But for me, football has been corrupt for a long time. They make rules as they go along. And also, Man City are a very valuable asset for the Premier League. Teams like Forest and Everton, big in their own way, but not as big as Man City are now, actually. Hence why they've not been sort of been fined or any points been taken away. Them and Chelsea, the two fashionable clubs. A lot of foreign people support Man City and Chelsea. They got a lot of fans around the world, so that's maybe one reason why they haven't sorted this mess out. They don't know what to do with them. That's what I think.
Yeah. What I was going to say too is, I just wanted to double check on whether what I'm trying to think of what is our next game actually? When is our next game?
Sunday, Tottenham.
Sunday. Okay.
Sunday, Tottenham,
So,
4:30 UK time. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about then? Because I was going to do that today, but I wanted to kind of just have a more chill atmosphere. It seems like everyone is so hell bent on shipping out Diaz and shipping out or letting go VVD possibly, or allowing for VVD to leave and not convincing him to stay.
When did that happen?
Huh?
When did everyone become hell bent on getting rid of DVD? I didn't notice that one. That's crept up a bit.
That was earlier in the chat. People were saying how.
Everyone in the chat. Okay, everyone in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No, I didn't mean in general.
Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
right. I was when.
Everyone that matters is in the chat to me. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So
no, I'd like to know.
The chat's opinion matters to me. I know they matter to you too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say though, Wednesday then we'll have this episode because Tuesday is usually Twitter Tuesdays, but we'll do Wednesday. We'll do a sell, keep, or extend. We'll do something like that. We'll do a sell, keep, extend. We'll do the roster here because apparently the streets want it, like as in all the other people in the chat are talking about. It seems to be the subject of topic as well. I think it'll be interesting to see what people think, and I'll even keep I'll set up some type of whatchamacallit,
system.
Yeah, like Excel. I'll set up some type of spreadsheet that if a player's moved into a certain category, you'll be able to see what his wages are and what his actual we'll go by market value, and we'll see we'll give it a plus or minus from his market value, and then we'll see what it is that will be playing with, and what it is that our current wage bill would be left with as well. How much leeway we'll be able to do in our wage bill. If you guys want in the chat too, you guys can make suggestions as well as to who you would want to get and everything else by the subtractions and additions. So it'll be an interesting little segment.
Yeah, if you want to bump it to tomorrow,
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow too if it's better for that. Okay.
There's nothing mad happening on Twitter tomorrow. We can, if people are ready for a bit of that.
Yeah,
I'd imagine. So
that's gonna be the day of reckoning for a lot of people, that they can finally get their voices heard. That they said this guy is out, and then you get to take the money and you get to do what you want to do with it. Okay, and we'll go by transfer. You want to do transfer market, or you can do off of let's do transfer market as being the roundabout concept of the price. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're about to land this plane because I got to do a lot of research. I got to do setup for tomorrow. I wanted to know, is there anything that the chat wanted to say real quick or bring up real quick? Any questions that you had I possibly missed?
Because we're going to be doing also while anyone in chat, throw a few more things in. The plane, we can circle the airport for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll circle the airport for a second.
But I was hoping maybe we're speaking about this JK with 12 man before, maybe on Wednesday the season awards show. Now that I think we can kind of say
that too. that too.
yeah,
We can do that
like
Wednesday. Maybe we do that Wednesday. We do that Wednesday.
yeah. So and to be, you know, and let's just, you know, even for 5 minutes, I know it's hard, but to take off the Liverpool glasses, take off the Liverpool hats. No, take off the
I
and
will
just
too.
look
I
at,
will too.
but
I
just
will.
look around the league and, you know, just say, look, who's been the best right back? Who's been, you know, without, you know, without doing our nuts or anything, but just, you know, and then we can also have like, and just try so people maybe think about this. And I know everyone wants to say flop of the season. Okay, cool. We'll do the flop of the season. But breakout star of the season. Yeah, like unexpected, you know, surprise of the season. These kind of things. So get your ideas in for that kind of thing. But you know, just a good fun award show. Let's not focus too much on Liverpool because it's not great at the moment. So, you
Yeah.
know, look
Yeah.
around the league and but like, you know, flops of the season, not from Liverpool, around the league. You know, we all know who we're not happy with. We all know who we like and who are, you know, Bradley is our breakout star, you know, this kind of thing, whatever. But look around the season and yeah, just take our mind off what's happening the last month because our year is winding down now. So we may as well just throw an eye on the rest of the league because there are other teams out there with good players. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, a couple of them might be playing for us in the next couple of years. So let's go and give them their due.
Yeah.
Rev Knight's got a question there. Who would you keep from the front line if you had a choice?
I told him my answer to that was we will find out that answer tomorrow. I mean, basically, you know, if we're gonna do this whole list, we're gonna go through the whole squad and say who we're keeping, who we're letting go, who we're keeping, you know, because like you got to keep it. I'm going to be very interested to see because you can't get rid of 10 players. Let's just be honest. You can't get some. I've heard people say they want to get rid of 10 people, 12 people. You know, like that's like half a squad, man. Like you
burn it all down. Yeah,
exactly.
Down. Yeah.
You can't be that nuts. But I mean, like maybe
I'll quickly say something about that.
I look at maybe 4 to 6 players probably will be, you know, transitioned on from possibly from this.
Mm-hmm.
But
I believe that when you look at it a month ago, in the position we were pretty strong. We were doing well, even though we got loads of injuries. But I reckon that's why we don't need the new guy to come in and like just get rid of everyone. He needs to boost it up a little bit. About 3-4 players to add to what we've already got, and get rid of the people like who the contracts are run out, Matty, Thiago, these guys. But all in all, a month ago, everything was looking kind of good. So for me, there's no need to just go crazy by selling everyone.
Yeah. So tomorrow should be a fun episode. It should be an interesting and fun episode at least. I'll have that all set up though. Like one way or another, I'll figure out a way that we can set it all up and we can bring it and you can kind of see the numbers. You know, numbers don't lie. And we can kind of break it all down as to like, you know, where and how this season is going to this upcoming season would look with the additions and subtractions that you guys want to make to the squad. I know I saw Rev Knight said 6 to 8 people. I saw Daryl said he's getting rid of 6 already. So yeah. And yeah. Adrian in talks over a 2-year extension. Okay. Trying to that's
what to his house.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'll have to research that before quoting.
Not to his contract anyway. Maybe to his house out in Ibiza or something. He's got a little holiday pad. He's getting an extension built. It's going to take 2 years. He's lost in translation.
So tomorrow, you guys, if you want, like, so you have them ready and everything else. If you want to like, jot them down or put them in your phone, put the names that you would like to try to bring in. The players that you'd like to go out see leave, you know, and what I'll do is I'll be able to like, you know, figure out what it is that, you know, what we're working with and if it's realistic.
Quickly, just before just in case, sorry, I was rudely interrupting there. I'm sorry, but Rev Knight just said something there. He is working super hard. He's on a diet at the moment. He's after losing a load of weight.
Mm-hmm.
in the last month. I think he's just saying there he's on no chocolate. And I forgot to say it to him earlier on. He's smashing it. He's doing brilliantly. So
Yeah,
I hope
keep
it's
up the
going
work,
well.
brother.
Yeah, keep going, Reverend. I know it's difficult. I know you're having a bit of a tough time with it, as everyone would be.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I was seeing, you're doing really, really well. So I just wanted to say, fair play, man, because that's not easy to do. So keep it up. Yeah, look, 7 kilos in 2 weeks. That's brilliant, man. Stay healthy though. Don't go too low.
Yeah.
Don't go too quick. But that's really good, man. Fair play.
Yeah. Daryl says he needs to leave 15 stones. 15 stones. Oh, that's like, oh, wow. If you're 33 stones, excuse me, and you want to lose 15, that's a lot, isn't it?
That's too much.
It's
too much, right?
Almost half of he's almost
half.
Yeah,
it's
half
almost half his body weight. It's a lot.
Yeah. But Daryl, man, just look, like I say, talk to the pros, talk to these people.
Yeah.
Don't read these, don't follow any of these weirdo diets on Instagram or anything talk to people who know how to do it healthily, because that's a big drop you're going to be looking at. So make sure you do it the right way, man. Listen to your doctors. Don't go down that. Listen to people on the internet. Listen to people like me. We don't have a clue. We're just saying, like, big up and get your head down, keep doing it. But don't make sure you stay healthy.
Ultimately, yes. Consult your doctors. Consult your doctor, your physician. Way.
Yeah, you can starve yourself and do it the wrong way, and I know that for a fact, man.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So just make sure you stay healthy when you're doing it, but keep telling us what you're doing, lads. Keep telling us how you're going.
Keep us in touch with and what your journey is looking like. That if there's anyone that will support you and keep giving positive affirmations, that would be definitely your Reds, man. At least that's what I'm hoping, more so than not. As a community, we can continue to keep big up each other to the point where we can achieve whatever it is that we have our dreams and aspirations set to. And it makes a difference when you have people supporting you, and you have that here, brother, always.
Staying positive and happy and laughing is a good way to lose weight and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got a question, bro. For any iPhone users, which is the best? What happens when the iPhone screen starts flickering? What's the best remedy for that? If anyone knows that.
I don't know. I'm not an Apple genius. I'm not an Apple genius.
Oh,
I knew what? I don't know. Oh, all right, guys. All right, yeah. Now I think we're gonna land this plane. Get that stuff ready for tomorrow, though. Should be fun. Should be interesting to see what the rosters look like once they've got your additions and had your subtractions from and to and from. Be interested to see how we stay within somewhat inside that wage budget. And is there anything you guys want to say before we let the people on to their final destination, if this isn't their last?
I just want to say, like what we said before, don't listen to medical advice from people on the internet. Speak to professionals, but then come in here and tell us how well you're doing, and we give you super backup and all that kind of support. But just keep in, and like Rev and I'm following your little thing already, man. I'm already, every time you pop up now, it's in my head. He's losing weight, so you keep going too. Just make it your thing, man. Just keep going and make it whatever it takes you to get it. You can come in here every night and say, I've done this, I've done that, and you'll get a little buzz off it. But you can tell us all about your journey, and then maybe you get an Amazon gig out of it. You can do a documentary and all of that.
We'll be on it and stuff.
We'll be on it.
Yeah, definitely. There's we're all supportive of that. Like Amtar Mizzi, I know, is doing he's participating in a big run right now. He's gotten really, really involved in his fitness and everything else. Yeah, we all have journeys, It's
Probably
about
running to the moon and back.
support on those journeys that matters.
Term is he's probably did 27 marathons in Australia last weekend
Yeah, I
or
know,
something.
probably last
Dude,
week or
it's like, okay, man, come on,
Yeah,
calm down.
He's
Jeez.
going hard on it. He's that.
It'd be
Big up the
perfect
Trigger
for
TV,
Klopp.
by the way. Big up the Trigger
He
TV.
would, JK. He'd
It'd
be
be perfect for
for
Klopp's
Klopp.
midfield.
Yeah.
For midfield, get him in.
Yeah. Klopp would sign
Yeah.
him up straight away, teach him then,
Yeah, definitely. JK, you got something to say to people before we let them on to the destinations?
Yeah, no, just head up high. It's been a rough month and stuff, but enjoy the next 3 games. Klopp's here. Yeah, and don't, any medical advice and stuff like that, you should be your own doctor. You know what feels good, what's not. Yeah, no. Big up everyone.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, then tomorrow, big day coming. Big day of reckoning for our club here via the Mighty Red Army. But until tomorrow, we'll be having this. We'll start the show tomorrow at 7 p.m. on the dot. I will be very, very precise with that. Yeah, let's get it in. So until then, up the Reds, and definitely, for sure, please, as we were just speaking earlier, please do continue to take care of yourselves and take care of your loved ones. It's important that you do, because your presence amongst us is very valued. So, let's work on always maintaining our inner cores, and also doing the best we can to allow for that to help those that we care about in this world. And I look to see you guys tomorrow. So again, until tomorrow, up the Reds always, and peace.